show up and say, this is what they did against me. I'm just going to try and fit into that.
Exactly. I think that Zapman may be able to provide a little bit of insight here for the Leviathans, given that he did have the opportunity to play them, or excuse me, the Bolts once already. But we've got game one in studios from the Olympus Bolts between the Atlantis Leviathans, and we've got Dolson and Gormizer. Take it away for the cast.
That's right, Taco. Thank you, Mifflin, as well on the desk. Dolson and Gormizer will bring us into game number one between the Olympus Bolts and the Atlantis Leviathans. Back in studio, baby, and Doug will be working the camera for us. Still, Awesome Jake and Wrong You. Don't you just kind of want to see a little subtle? All right, so this is like assault status, right, Gore? If one of them throws out damage, it's just karma for the rest of the game?
Well, Jake did throw out an auto. Did connect the auto.
Get a little XP in the lane while Zapman has to leave.
And that seems so small, right? There's no first blood, no big kills that transition over, and it's one of those things that it's so easy to come back from. But this actually might be a bad spot for Wrong You.
Wrong You's alone here. This is just Wrong You.
Yeah.
Zapman is going to come back from base here, but now Wrong You just eating tons of damage
Slowed.
here. And the auto attacks from Barracuda nearly get the kill. Barracuda stuns down Zapman. And then there's a Rivers Rebuke. That's a head scratcher of a play. Wrong You goes in alone and then has to leave. And then Zapman goes in alone.
Yeah, I feel there was just some mistiming with the communication. I think Wrong You
left for the Leviathans. Gore, you call the Pyromancer out, and the Olympus Bolts go for it. And that'll be another little bit of gold fused into their pocket. But you can kind of get the sense of where all this pressure has been pushing and where the Leviathans want to counter some pressure. And right now, it's Panatom who wants to counter some out. Wrong You will use the transformation into Ragnarok on a Jake who doesn't have beads. Tusky flies on through, and then the Rivers Rebuke is going to put Jake right in striking distance. But it's Wrong You who picks up the kill. And then it's well executed, not dives, but gank there by Panatom.
And just recognizing we know where the beads are down.
This is always kind of the give and take with these types of builds. And Merlin may not need it depending on how much power ends up fusing into that build. Concerned about a lack of CDR in the first couple items?
Not so much. I think it could be a big difference, but I don't think it's going to hurt.
Could help around this Gold Fury here as the Bolts have started it up. Wrong You leaps over the wall. Rivers Rebuke is up from Awesome Jake, and it's locked Panatom right into place. And Alex rotates in. And the first kill of the fight goes to the Bolts, and the second will do the same. Yarkor wreaking havoc in the backline, though, as he'll shoulder his way on in. It's a big three-man stagger there from Yarkor, but not enough as Lasbra notches another.
And Shinto, look, you're getting out of there by the skin of your teeth, just barely. That is a clean 3 pickup for the Bolts, and realistically, it comes from leashing that Gold Fury, right? They recognize that they have an advantage here. They've been just enough in the lead. Picked up a really big power spike to begin with for Venenu. But, I mean, the way BRZA plays that, you can see him skyrocketing to the top of the player damage charts. A lot of that comes from the Artemis, and he just has Aussie and Ikeval online. It's not really his quote-unquote power spike.
Wow, Zapman took a little bit of damage here, but now Awesome Jake with no Omi and very low health is going to try to run away. There's a minion wave there to maybe find some safety. Barracuda's just wailing away on the purple buff, but BRZA doesn't have any mana either, so Zapman gets a free kill over onto Awesome Jake, and that's exactly what the Leviathans need here. This gold lead has jumped on up to just shy of 5,000. If there's some hope here for a character like the Artemis, you need that for the real scenarios when you need a little extra escape. Pyromancer started up by the Leviathans. It is spotted, or by the Bolts, excuse me, is spotted out by the Leviathans, but it was really only Lasbra putting damage in. Now Yarkor trying to control that backline as Venenu and Lasbra both take a little bit of damage. But look at the Rivers Rebuke. It's perfect. It's one target, but it's given the kill on over to the Bolts, and there was nobody close by for the Leviathans.
And it seems like something that should be an insignificant kill, but that lockdown specifically killing.
You gotta look for the counterpart. Where's the Osiris? 10,400 gold. Call it 2,000 gold ahead of Wrong You is Lasbra here. It feels like this Osiris has just had so much more impact, and maybe that's pretty indicative as to why. This one looks like it'll fizzle out, though, with Awesome Jake playing Barricade. Wrong You, though, gets Rivers Rebuked on in. He'll have to transform here as the walls crash on down. There's a stun on the follow-up as well. Barracuda deletes him for the killing spree.
I mean, just all of the burst damage. It felt kind of fruitless. Again, you see the Rivers Rebuke go up, you go, okay, all for all. And you had memed it. We were joking about it, but Jake's number 2. Jake, look, he's over 1,000 damage behind, but he is hovering up there in terms of player damage.
Right, if the difference is 27 damage, then we can have the conversation, but it's not 27 damage. It's Ragnarok onto Jake in the back. Should be a kill for the Leviathans, and it is to start off this fight. Haddock's getting whittled away as well. Venenu hasn't had the opening to get in this fight. Barracuda doing his best to kite backwards. It's the best looking fight so far for the Leviathans. They get a clean pick. They force Lasbra out. They nearly get a kill onto Haddock's as well. That's a big defense, though the tier 1 does fall.
Lasbra a stiff breeze would have killed him there, and that is just unfortunate. The Leviathans
Can
were
barely see his health.
But the good thing is they got the bolts completely out
Big
of there. This
advantage.
is a good way to engage onto the fire giant.
Lasbra has now gone back to base. Haddix is full health, but he's going to have to come back from base as well. Venenu is here, but might have been spotted out, is spotted out by that ward. So is Barracuda. Barra does not have ultimate. Venenu does. And so it's half HP on the fire giant. Wrong U is splitting this one up. The rest of the reinforcements from the bolts starting to come back from base. But Awesome Jake won't be alive in time. Venenu transforms. He's into the Artemis, but gone before my eyes as Panatom grabs that kill, but Haddix has returned and Lasbra has as well. It's a 3-kill swing. The Olympus bolts don't steal away the FG. The Leviathans secure it, and they have got to get out with these 3 buffs.
And that blink was just used by Lasbra. He has no way to engage. His ult's down. He just has to slow him and chase him down.
And the Arcor's beneath this tier 2 tower here. It looks like Shinto's just going to secure the escape path. Now it's a numbers game. 30 seconds remaining on Panatom and Zapman. 30 seconds on Venenu as well. So yeah, this is an interesting rotation here. The Leviathans were over by the tier 1 tower over in the solo lane. The Olympus bolts in the meantime push up to the tier 2 tower on left. Could be a meeting of the minds here around the Leviathan's red buff. And it's Panatom who's left alone. He gets stunned on in, uses the beads, leaps back onto Venenu, who will use the beads of his own. He's backpedaling as best he can. Jake provides some peel with the River's Rebuke. Panatom leaps on away as Lasbra tried to close that gap just a little bit further. Venenu's been alone here, but he's the Osiris. He's tanky enough to stay alive. It's a leap away from Wrong U, and somehow Gormizer, everyone's alive, but Zapman alone in the back.
He's alone, just absolutely isolated. You can see the Bifrost Crystal. That's down. The bolts are sharks in the water, and they smell the blood. It's just how long Zapman can stay out of here. Aussie passive going.
Ooh,
I honestly thought he
Barra
was going to try to hit the Draugr to get some healing.
That's smart from Barra here. Backpedal away, because that would be the only saving grace there if Zapman was able to walk forward and end up getting the kill onto Barra. That is wild.
The crystal just came up.
You can see it just came give them that opportunity. Panatom's ult down. Jake's is as well.
That's the only big difference maker. I'm looking at the Tusky, I'm looking at Venenu, and they're going to go in on Vin.
Oh, and Vin, he's got to transform here to get out of the fight. He does. It's the Osiris once more. The Hardcore considering a chase down, but instead, there's more priority targets over by the FG. All the front line low now for the Olympus bolts. Lasbra's in behind. As that Osiris could make some damage in the back line. Look at Tusky ripping through. Big stuns on the front. Oh, are you kidding me? The unluckiness. That is devastating there, Gore. All right, so we take a little pause here. Like what happens next when we get to sit down?
Pause the team fight.
Well, that's literally what we're going to get to do here, Gormizer. The pause, about to unpause here, and the Fire Giant team fight resumes with Venenu getting rid of Shinto. So now there's 2 members down for the Leviathans, but Awesome Jake, low HP as well. But the Leviathans are all split up, and it looks like the bolts are going to be able to run them on down. 1 kill return, but Venenu makes it a double before he goes to the grave. It's a deicide for the Olympus bolts, and it'll be FG as well.
And I thought the separation was going to be worse for the bolts, but they were the ones driving the Leviathans apart there. You could see, I mean, Zapman just absolutely, once again, isolated, cornered. He had the crystal with the devastating in here. I was actually wondering if Vin was going to transform into Yamoja to have like the double River's Rebuke. Although I like the Osiris
diagram.
The Vin diagram.
Oh, nice! I didn't know that was even intentional, Gore.
Well, Haddix is going in.
Haddix is blinked into the back line. He's found Shinto, and then Lasbra's in a perfect spot to collapse. Bye-bye, Merlin, once more here in this game. And the Leviathans, they're starting to crumble here on the back line, but it's a Ragnarok onto Haddix. That should be a kill on over, but Venenu, he's going big here. It's a double for Ven. Barracuda gets 2 as well, and the Olympus bolts take game 1.
I mean, that was crisp towards the end. There's that little bit of a flub. Look, the Leviathans had that great call. You had highlighted it. They win a really decent fight around their tier 2, immediately go over to the FG. But then they lose Zap, they lose Panatom, and it's like, you got the FG.
They could have tossed some more bans towards Panatom, but instead, they were kind of forced to emphasize bans towards the mid lane because of the ambiguity afforded by Osiris.
And that Lord of the Afterlife as well, negating that option for the team sustain that Guan Yu might have otherwise been able to provide, but granted, you have to be incredibly accurate with that ultimate on the Osiris, and I think that there can't really be a point of hesitation here with this Leviathan's composition. This is kind of an all-or-nothing draft in my eyes.
Oh, they've got good disengage, though. I mean, you gotta put some respect on the Terra.
No, we might get to put a little bit more than just respect on the Terra here, Mifflin, because we've got game number 2 with the Atlantis Leviathans looking to bounce back up against the Olympus bolts here in studio. Dulcin, Gore, take it away.
Can the Olympus bolts do it again? They run over the Atlantis Leviathans in game number 1. And now a chance to 2-0 the team that's chasing their heels at the top of the standings. Gormizer, we discussed this a little bit in the green room, as Wrong U is going to delay out this couple of kills, maybe even for the Olympus bolts in a few of these games, but we know for sure that by the time late game rolls around, Venenu's going to absolutely be swinging. Lasbra forced into his ultimate here. Panatom does have beads, will taunt in instead onto the mid lane. Venenu has his ultimate this time, but Shinto's got the damage. Goodbye, Lasbra. And that is simple for the Leviathans. Wrong you with a big taunt in. Now give first blood to the Levies.
I mean, that was one small step away from being Panatom who goes down. Shinto really recognizing the situation. It's Panatom who burns his beads. Shinto lets himself get fooled, so he manages to hold on to that. Now Shinto's in danger.
Yeah, Venenu's got to leave, so that's going to be just Awesome Jake here in this fight, but Barracuda can close that gap. This is what Chernobog wants to do. Horrific Emblem dropped on down as Shinto will get stunned. Has to use the beads this time, but watch out for Wrongyu in the back. He doesn't have the HP to fight. Shinto doesn't have the mana to come back in, and Barracuda returns the favor.
I want to say long term, though, you trade support for jungle. In fact, now Wrongyu's level 6, which is on par with Lasbra, so I think you're feeling pretty good if you're the Leviathans getting that first blood bounty. And starting up a Gold Fury this early?
The Bolts know it, though. The Bolts know this. It's going to have to be quick by the Leviathans. Lasbra's around the corner here. Gore, I don't know if he has the distance to get on in. Right there, Gold Fury taken down by the Leviathans.
Oh, no.
It could be a kill on the back end, and there is as well. Awesome Jake is here, though. Could provide some lockdown for the rest of the Bolts to get in. Hammer no good, and the Leviathans get away with the kill. Split decision calls. One on starting up the Fire Giant in game 1, and then a quick call where they know they've had the Bolts pushed back. We can really quickly do this Gold Fury. And so the Leviathan's showing us some great decision making here. Yarkor's going to have to make some decisions, though, as Awesome Jake is rotated towards the right. Horrific Emblem used once more, and this time the stun will connect. The transformation on the other end as well could help in closing up that gap. As Yarkor attempting to get on out, but he won't, as Jake burns him through, but now Panatom, he's alone. Panatom has his ult. It's going to be a three-man taunt. That slows things down for Wrongyu, but Barracuda, he's dashed on over from the right, but the damage isn't quite there. Not just yet. Panatom does end up going down, Gore, but there's still a fight to be had.
I mean, Shinto's looking to be the next one locked down. They have that tier 1 tower, though, Dave, and it's so difficult to aggress into.
Wow. That is
a group up.
And it's something that Jake has used a few times here, really for the slow, it feels like right now, in locking down and helping locking down one individual target. Haddix is alone here with 3 members of the Atlantis Leviathans. It looks like Awesome Jake is going to rotate in, do his best to help, but Barracuda's been so active with these ultimates. It's another big taunt from Panatom, and that's got Haddix pulled back into the Leviathans here, but look at Barracuda free casting as the ultimate from Daju will pull 2 back in. The collapse from the Olympus Bolt is so quick. They're only able to get 1, but now they've got some space around the Pyro.
And they're going to be able to pick this up. Haddix is low, he's got healing. Lasbra's low, he's got healing, but Zap could go for the steal.
Zap is up in the sky. Oh, he's got the damage for Lasbra, but the Pyromancer still stands. The snipe doesn't end up coming in on the other side of things, but Lasbra has fallen here now. 0-4 on this Dashi. Awesome Jake locked into place before he dashes his way away, and Wrongyu still in on the chase. Shinto's got the range, and Awesome Jake's got the death. Now Zapman being chased down by Venenu here, who's alone with 3, and double kill for the Morgan Le Fay.
Man, that shape was almost enough to turn around and slap Zapman.
3-man, so this Erlang Shen, the Death talked about it, and you talked about it a little bit, that feast or famine, right now it's feasting. Haddix might be the next meal on the menu. Yarkor wants it to be, as a cavalry charge will get Haddix just a bit out of range, but with the Leviathans rotating like that, no real chance. So in moments like that, you have to look at what do the Bolts do in response. Leviathans send everyone minus Satman to the right. There wasn't much left
with that cursed Ankh that he just bought, or the upgrade that he just bought. Takes more damage.
Could be a fight here, Gore, as the Gold Fury started up by the Leviathans. We'll see if the anti-heal can do some work. This one is burning quickly as Awesome Jake jumps on in, but the Leviathans make no mistake. Jake will transform into the backline, though. Goes Lasbra. He's found Zapman, but Lasbra has to use the Palaus defensively here. Zapman will use the snipes. Can he outweight the pullback in? But I'm not sure it matters here because Lasbra's all alone. The Fury has gone down. Lasbra a couple autos away from falling as well, and the Olympus Bolts, they show some face score. They should have stayed home.
I also love Zapman making a decoy. Maybe not the biggest idea in that one, but at least the other two feel really, really impactful here, and I'm expecting to see that really, really change things up, especially Bear. He can't get caught out here.
He's going to use his ultimate, but not going to matter. Barracuda goes down as Panatom closes that gap. And this is not something we often see, Gore, where the Olympus Bolts are just kind of out of sorts right now. But if there's a team that's going to put you out of sorts, the Leviathans have felt like that team here as of late. And they're putting the Bolts all sorts of out of sorts.
That means if we win this next fight, if we win it heavily enough, despite this deficit for the Bolts, you find a way right back into the Titan.
Wondered what we would see there between Awesome Jake and Panatom. We don't have to wonder what we're seeing here on the left. So Barra out of the fight, but Barra can rejoin the fight quickly. He's joined and he's rooted Yarkor in place. The Olympus Bolts feel like they've got something here. They've got low health bars. Watch out for Panatom on the back line though. Oh, big stun onto Jake and Haddix, but it's a pullback in
Zap.
from Lasbra here in the backline. Barracuda being knocked down by Panatom. The flank works out, and the Erlong Shen gets an early kill.
Look how low everyone on the Leviathans are, but it's the bolts that are the ones turning and running here. I mean, Rong Yu, Zap, Hardcore, they all, at least someone should have died there, but they managed to hold it out as long as they can.
Haddix rooted in place. Lasbra doing his best. Flank impression here. Lasbra's gonna have to be let back into the gate. Panatom takes some damage. Can Zapman hit the snipes? Up in the air he goes. A little bit of damage before he crashes back down to earth. So maybe a small win here for the Olympus Bolts. It's a taunt in onto Awesome Jake, who will transform as the mid lane. Phoenix ends up going down. Yarkor splitting up so much. And Awesome Jake takes way more damage than he bargained for. The Olympus Bolts have to drop back into the fountain, but they're going to have 4 members of their team on the defense.
They're just going to try to hold on to this one, Dave, and they've got a little bit in their favor. I honestly want them to stay and fight a little bit longer.
Yep.
Granted,
Blink,
you
wow.
do have to still deal with the house on the side, the Pal-Out available there for Lasbra. Still some good engage for the Bolts.
3 ultimates for the Olympus Bolts, and that's what they need to close this gap. The first one gets used and it's Lasbra, immediately goes back down to earth. The second one used, that's Haddix, who has to go back beneath his Phoenix. The Leviathans have weathered the storm and they've done better, as Shinto will get the kill onto the Guan Yu. Awesome Jake, 5 seconds back from respawning. Low health bars, somewhat, on the Leviathans. This is where that healing is going to be important.
Yeah, Terra heal, look, it's going to be able to get you back up a little bit, but it's not enough. And now you not only in right, but in mid, those minions are coming in. I've had to increase that minions counter too many times. I don't think the Bolts, I mean, they're so close in proximity, they're going to be able to clear it, but I don't know that they have a choice.
Lasbra's not even going over there. The minions have respawned on right, but that gap is closing. The Olympus Bolts are going to have to deal with like 4 fire minion waves, so you've got to fight now. And that's what Awesome Jake wants to do. But where did he go? Shinto gets his 7th of the game. Up in the air goes Zapman looking for the snipes on defend. The Aegis saves his life, but a double kill from Shinto as the fadeaway shot from the Morgan Le Fay gets it done. The Atlantis Leviathans run over the Olympus Bolts. And we're headed on to a game 3. Come on, minions, make them do it again. Oh, I saw an auto from Zapman there.
Well, hey, the minions still did a lot of the work there. Look, that one was just tried and true control from the Leviathans. Like, I'm trying to go back to and remember
this
it.
Rom versus Artemis matchup, while we haven't really seen a whole lot of 1v1 opportunities for Zapman and Barracuda, have to remember that Artemis probably provided a slight edge in this matchup because every single time Rom looks for that Astral Barrage, he might get met with a trap at the bottom, and that could be enough initiation to kind of topple the fight. The Leviathans are really just looking to focus out Barracuda here.
And depending on how long Rom sits in the air, you can actually double trap off a Rom ult, drop one immediately once he goes up, comes down, lands into it, drop another one while he's already stuck inside of it as well. There's a lot of CC potential from this Leviathans draft, and it doesn't just have to be the Artemis. If Fafnir's there, well, you're probably getting a hammer too.
Well, we're finally going to get an opportunity to see who's going to be able to bring it home between these two Titan teams, as Dulcin and Gore will take it over for game number 3.
One more time, in we go as the Olympus Bolts and the Atlantis Leviathans duel it out to find ourselves a winner here in the top 2 of the SPL. My name is Dulcin. We're brawling over this Harpy. I was expecting a fight to break out, but not to be. So Yarkor winning this matchup. This is something that Des described as a bit of a 50-50 play. And right now, Yarkor feeling a little bit more comfortable, and that puts this blue buff at serious risk. Haddix is going to de-transform here, just over 200 HP. Blue buff gets dropped down. Now Panatom potentially a little cut out, because watch out from the mid lane. The Morgan Le Fay rotating in, but instead it's Haddix with a sneaky bit of damage over the wall. And I don't even know if the rotation...
And that was what was ridiculous to me, is the fact that they
it.
were both able to do that.
Right.
Yeah, you're definitely going to need 3 people on the Leviathan specifically to do that. Might be able to get away with just Jake and Barra on the side of the Bolts, but right now it's Panatom who's in trouble.
Might not have Jake, though, if he gets taken down here. Lasbra is in. Has some defense. Oh, it's a great wall from Awesome Jake, but Shinto can dash right on through. It's got to be a kill for the Leviathans, and it is. But look at Rong Yu, the target priority, leaps over the wall, gets the stun onto Lasbra. Not enough to get the kill. Still pays for it with his life. Blue buff looked at now by the Olympus Bolts. There's been plenty of pressure pushing against Yarkor, and a 1-level lead for Haddix still remains here in this lane. What's the response, though, from the Leviathans? Bit slow, as Rong Yu does end up rotating on in. Blue buff still up. Blue buff being whittled on away. Rong Yu gets the hammer onto Awesome Jake. Yarkor half HP, but the reinforcements are in, and Awesome Jake left alone. Shards of Ice. It's going to get a little bit of damage here, but that's all that Jake can do, as Yarkor picks up a kill.
14 minutes in, it's not enough that it's really running away with anything. But they're able to start pulling that ahead, plus that experience, as we've kind of already highlighted, that they do have in their favor. Fights like this are necessary to win for the Leviathans.
Haddix used his beats. Lasbra has been a counter steal machine, it feels like. Stole away Greatest Scorpion a moment ago. I'll return to that as a double knockup from Haddix. Gets Yarkor and Wrong You a bit out of sorts. Over here in the FG pit, Panatom left alone, and Venenu gets his first kill of the game. Now we go back to the right-hand side, where Haddix bouncing on around. Yarkor's going to get collapsed on here as Lasbra leaps in. It's aggressive this time from Lord of the Afterlife, and Yarkor falls down.
I don't know who to clap harder for there. You or Doug. That was phenomenal tracking of the fight. I mean, watching it break out in 2 spots.
It's always
but
Doug,
it's
by the way.
overextension. Yes, it's absolutely.
Doug is the answer.
Doug is always the answer.
He's tilted himself forward of Zapman by about 1,000 gold here. Literally nothing has happened over on the duo lane. XP close to equal as both levels are similar there. But 1,000 gold for Barracuda is going to be feeling good. Apple might be enough. Venenu has to use the Aegis here to keep himself in the fight, at least on the map, but he's not going to be able to get back in. Shinto gets knocked up by Haddix. The Salmon Leap is there. It's a brilliant strike.
What a wall!
But the wall's incredible from Awesome Jake. And Haddix will pick up a kill onto Shinto here. The Discordia falls for the first time this game.
They're looking to continue getting aggressive. Since Vin is alive, he's going to be back in this fight in no time. It doesn't even matter. He's going towards left. You've got Barra here to help push down the tower.
Wow, Yarkor and Wrong You, they stay. And they stay in the mid lane. The wall from Jake so close to being perfect. So Yarkor is able to shimmy his way on in through the right, or way on out, excuse me, through the right-hand side of that wall. But now Awesome Jake, bit of body block. Wrong You transforms Shard Device to delay things out, but Zapman will get the kill by the end of it. Around the back side of the Leviathans is Lasbra. Looks like the snipes from Barracuda will be the icing on this cake. Olympus Bolts get a tier 1 in mid, they kill off Shinto, but they lose. The Leviathans could wrap around. Look at the envelopment that's happening. Duo lane from duo lane, mid lane from mid lane, but Haddix is going to cut off that path. Apple connects onto the Kokol, and Panatom, he's in alone. He takes so much damage. The wall from Jake keeps Panatom right where he is, and now the Ymir on the board for the first time.
I thought Barra was going to have a huge snipe moment. He only needed 1, and then they still get the kill. Now they're getting aggressive. Lasbra maybe too deep, but look at the rest of the bolts. They're starting to move forward. They know they have the Primal Fury.
Primal Fury is down to half HP. Zapman wants nothing to do with them, nor do the rest of the Leviathans. By this Leviathans team, and so really what you got to wait for here, when do we see the power of this Bolt's lead in a team fight?
Oh, probably soon. Fire Giant's getting looked at by Jake, but he's just trying to get the setup. A good wall, good freeze is all it's going to take to just eat through the Leviathans here.
Oh, good wall onto Shinto, who can dash away. That's something to look out for. As this game goes on, Shinto can get away from some of those awesome Jake walls. Wrong You takes some damage from the mid lane from Venenu. Now Yarkor and Wrong You jump on in onto the mid laner. Panatom is there as well. So much backline dive. But Barracuda and Ben, they combine for a kill. Zapman's got it done though on the other side of the fight as well. The snipes from Barracuda try to add some range into this engagement. Mantle of Discord with a big stun, but Shinto over the wall will find the kill there, and now it's just the backline for the Olympus Bolts. The Leviathans have shredded the rest of this fight. A double kill for Shinto, and the Leviathans stand strong despite a deficit.
I love the fact that they, look, Panatom goes in and he does exactly what he needs to. He gets both carries away from the fight. Lasbra, yeah, he can do a little bit of damage, but nowhere near the amount that Vin and Vera put out. You separate the problem from the rest of the team, and the Bolts have nothing to stand on. They just shred through the front line at that point. Jake, then Haddix, then Lasbra. And look, Barra is strong. I actually admire him because one of the things he does at the very end, he sees 4 Leviathans running at him. Hardcore is incredibly low. He turns his eyes towards Shinto and Zapman. He's like, I'm going to take it.
Want to get as much gold, as much value out of this early Fire Giant, early by maybe a Fire Giant standard, probably standard by Fire Giant standards, but by the first Fire Giant of the game, the Leviathans want to get as much value out of this one as they can. Stuns exchange, it's Wrong You. All the CC flies onto the support, and here's the go button from the Olympus.
What a wall
from Jake! It's got 2 members of the Leviathans locked in place. Zapman uses the active. It won't matter this time. Down goes Zap, and the Artemis falls, and Lasbra will provide some slows onto Yarkor.
And he might be low, but it's not low enough for the kill to turn around. I mean, what a pickup and what a turnaround for the Bolts. The wall, I want to say, most credit because of the lockdown that it gave to Zap.
Death timer score.
Realistically, look at
it.
It's
a much closer fight, maybe gold-wise at least, and even XP-wise, than things were the first time. But you feel like this is one that the Bolts have the opportunity in. Lasbra's got the attention of 2 in the mid lane. It's Yarkor and Panatom. And look at this. Panatom realizes he's needed elsewhere. Apple connects onto Haddix, and there's a lot of damage in that one. Snipes from Barracuda provides some damage, but Panatom is left on in, and now Barracuda has to roll that away. It's happening again. The Leviathans find themselves in control around the FG. Barracuda's going to be the 3rd one to fall on the Leviathans. They're going to threaten this FG once more.
Look, Lasbra and Vin are alive. Not a whole ton they could do here. I was wondering if Vin or Lasbra, I guess, with the painstaking rush, there's no way he's going to get there in time, could go for something. But look at the Fire Minions actually over there getting a little bit of damage done onto the Titan. If they can keep that wave pushed up and at least keep that Phoenix in distress, then there is a little.
This has got to be Phoenix at
How
least,
deep
right?
are they going
How
down?
thin? Look at that, because look, Haddix, Jake, and Bear are still 20 to 30 seconds away from being back. I think Laz and Ven realize that there's no chance of them defending underneath this Phoenix, but you got to go back to base. Lasbra and Venenu agree. 20 seconds on Barracuda, 10 on Haddix and Jake as well. The Leviathans work in towards the Titan. Lasbra's been stunned, and the Lord of the Afterlife connects onto everyone that's here from the Leviathans, but the Titan now being damaged. Venenu doing his best to pour out the damage that he can. What is it with these two teams? And Titan fights, Haddix respawns, gets the kill on Arangu. Yarkor being swung on down. Zetman uses the Aegis. That'll keep him in the fight. He'll do one better. He gets the double, but Venenu returns the favor.
And now Bear is back, baby, and he's looking to do damage. Hardcore is the next one on the list.
Yarkor gets
the
walled
snipes!
on off by Jake. Can Barracuda get anything with the snipes? A little bit of damage. Now Venenu trying to chase down Yarkor. There's some damage. There's a knockup, and Yarkor sidesteps that one. The stripe in place on Venenu likely means this one's done. The Titan stands at half HP.
Phoenix is about to respawn for the
Tony Fury looked at by
Yeah,
Barra.
you get out of
Jake
there.
here. Yeah, Barra has something else in mind. Beads just came back up. Egg is still 25 seconds away. This is wild, because look, this is the type of fight that if the Bolts lose, this is where the Leviathans could look to end the game. Barracuda jumped on in the back line, and Panatom deletes him for free. It's a freeze from Awesome Jake on the other side of things, and now it's a shard device to keep the Leviathans locked on in, but Barracuda's not here. Venenu has to use the disengage here, whatever he's got from the Morgan Le Fay, but the Leviathans win the skirmish, and he'll get the Fury as well.
You have to remember, the last time
They
these
leave
two
the Fury.
teams fought at this point, Dave, was during the playoffs. Leviathans only got
And this is where the Bolts can flourish. They've waited out that big ultimate lockdown. Rongyu doesn't have his ultimate up for a little bit longer either, and so the Bolts got what they came for. They got a big space control ultimate down, but look at the push back in from the Leviathans.
Vin's ult's gonna come through. Bear is alive, and that damage is pouring out.
Haddix dashes on away from Panatom as Lasbra finds his way into the back line. Oh,
What
one more
the
snipe!
snipes!
Barracuda's got it! Zapman goes down. Titan being worked on by a couple fire minions here, but the Olympus Bolts, they want to surge forward. There's a slow on the Panatom, and the wall from Awesome Jake will force out the leap away, but Lasbra wants more. The rest of the Bolts do as well. There's a stun on the other side. It's a tether from Panatom, or from Lasbra, that gets things done. Venenu from range
What a wall.
gets the kill on the Panatom. Shito uses the beads. That'll keep him on the map, but the roar is there. The Aegis falls off, and Awesome Jake picks up the kill.
Oh, but Hardcore has more in mind. No, the stun, the CC
The
is so
Olympus
good.
Bolts.
He could have killed off Barra.
The Olympus Bolts, it looks like they've gotten it done here, Gormizer. It's Rongyu alone for the next 25 seconds until Zatman is back up and respawned. A fight in their own base gone right, and the Olympus Bolts working to the left-hand side of the map at Gore. I'm not sure the Leviathans have the legs to defend this one.
Unfortunately,
10
Lasbra's
seconds
on
on
base
Zap.
defense. 10 seconds? I don't know. This is taking a lot longer than I think they wanted it to.
5 on Zap. Rongyu is in behind the Olympus Bolts here. We'll have to see how quickly this one
delay
burns
it.
down. It's a disarm onto Barracuda. Is Rongyu done enough here? Zapman back up. He's got the board in as well. Shards of ice drops on down.
low.
Can Zapman get it done? No, he can. And the
Oh my
Olympus
God.
Bolts take it in 3.
Yeah, look how low they were at the Vin, though. Vin and Lasbra are just a second away from death there. If you had just a little more time. Zapman almost pulls that back. What a hell of a game to close
My
it
God.
out on.